individually complains, they get sanctioned, they get blackballed, whether it's with a contract, with the city. So you know what? I don't have anything to lose, and I'm the conduit to all the information. So they're so busy this year, Tammy, that I didn't want to disrupt that. Last year, the year before, they got 5-6 shifts. They're getting 20 shifts now. They're busy. They're calling me, saying, "Ron, it's never been better." So you know what? Do I now throw them to the wolves and get in trouble? So again, we will do something. Because I'm not going away as it relates to what's going on. I had a meeting. I saw Jack in Toronto. A couple of Mondays ago. I saw Jack and I got a chance to meet with and speak with Frank Cleese, who I'd met before. Frank wants to take up our cause as well. So you know what? It is what it is. But I'm going to tell you, congratulations on filling every seat in this house. But as this gentleman says right here, we got to start getting the youth here. But here's the problem. I have a 22-year-old and I have 21-year-old twins before I got fixed with blunt instruments. I got fixed with the cojones are gone. Go Luther!
You don't need the condoms then.
No. Other than when I get screwed from the city, maybe, because they're dirty. But what's happening is I have a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old twins, and I'm telling you, society has softened them up to what, and I literally had to say them, because my son, 21, got an honors in firefighting in paramedics. He's an OCP instructor. He doesn't speak French in Russell, and he went for an interview, and he honors in firefighting. And he wasn't the right guy. You know, you're just not what we're looking for. So I go to JP St. Pierre, the mayor, and I said, I told him what the qualifications were. He says, "Well, I'll get him a job." And I said, "No, you shouldn't have to get him a job. He should go in there on merits." What I'm going to do, Mr. Mayor, is I'm going to find out what it costs to train these people. My son just paid 10 grand of his own money to be trained a fireman. But we get friends in there that have no idea what they're doing. How much is it costing the city to train, or the town to train each one of these people? 22 grand each. But here's the problem. My daughter, I tell them all, you don't have to get involved in this fight because you're going to get blackballed in this community, especially in Russell. Leave it to me. But it was funny when my daughter said the other day, she goes, "Oh, Dad, you know, we're a lot more peaceful, we're a lot more accepting and all that." And that's what they're doing to our kids. They're allowing us.
That's why we homeschool.
That's why we homeschool. Nick, there you go, Nick.
That's right,
Nick, Prime Minister. But you can't afford to get on the bus.
That's why I got horses.
That's why you got horses. Yeah. And shit in your boots.
Damn right, lots of it.
But that's the problem. What they're doing is they're softening our kids now. I'm so sick. No disrespect for Jack McLaren, but I'm sick of how to live, how to do this, how to do this. I was brought up a certain way, but now they say I've got to be this, I've got to be boom, boom, boom. You know what? I just don't subscribe to that way.
There's no more.
I get called a bigot all the time. So Barr and bigot, if that's what it does to say, you know what, I got to push back, then you know what? Because what they do is they throw that name at you to quiver. "Oh, I'm not that way, I'm going to go away." No, I've gone past that.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, Tammy, congratulations. Jack McLaren, congratulations. You know, even showing up here is a huge event. You got Nick Vandergrat, who does a tremendous job. And Nick, what have they done to shut you up on this?
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
82 more hours a week.
Did they? When?
Yeah, but terrible.
Sunday morning?
Nice pay to 10.
What time are you on, Nick?
Well, I've been bounced once because of the hockey game. But the problem is every business changes.
Yeah.
And the radio station I walked into 10 years ago is not the radio station we have today.
Yes.
And you have to know that's not necessarily a bad thing because demographics change and you have to stay current, relevant. In order to stay alive
Yes.
in any business,
Yes.
you have to change with the times.
Yes.
Now, I have no control over content
Yeah.
other than my own.
Yeah.
I have no control over who's going to fill in for what.
Yeah.
All I do is salute, snap their attention, and salute when they call my name. I come in and do what I can.
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
But at the same time, I've got the best boss I've ever worked for.
Yes.
Steve Wintergron, and I know some people have had issues with him over the years, but you're never
Yes.
going to get everybody like everybody.
Yeah.
But from an employer's point of view, I've never had anybody who's given me more support and said, "Go get him,"
Yeah.
more times than Steve Wintergron has. So when you listen to what's on the air, you have to remember it's the whole package you have to take into account. And you have to, CRTC demands we have balance. That doesn't mean every word has to be balanced.
Yes.
An opposing view, but there has to be an opposing view available on the radio. I would argue that we are the other side. You want the opposing view, go listen to CBC.
Yeah,
correct.
We're the balance in the CBC, but the CRTC doesn't see it that way.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, all I can do is what I'm given, and I'm trying to make the best out of what I've got. And when people like you come along, the reason why I went ballistic about your story was because I have a motto and a creed. If it doesn't make sense, if there's no logic or reason, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
And that's why I went ballistic, is because it didn't fit any of those three criteria, which is true for most of what this government and this city does.
Yeah. Real quick, real quick on why Nick got lit up. There was an article by Ron Corbett, some of my members, about the trials and tribulations of going over there. We had one member who bought a truck in Ontario, bought the box in Quebec, had the box delivered to Ontario. It was put on. 4 months later, he has paint peeling off the back of the thing, and he's going to drive it a couple of miles in, Nick, to go get it fixed. And he was told, no, you can't. You have to have it towed in. You're not allowed to drive it in there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We've had guys over there work, got stopped 7 times in one day. Surely, I'm sure you could tell me stories about the harassment over there. And yet, do you think anybody in the city of Ottawa is standing up and saying, you know, it is, you know.
It's a province also.
Correct. And here's another thing. The next time somebody proposes to build a bridge into Quebec, we got to stop it, because it's all 94% of the people come this way in the morning and 94 go the other way. They're plugged. The bridges to Quebec are busy because they're plugged with everybody coming from there over to here to work for our city, for our feds. They're allowed to come over here to work for feds, but this city has to stop. We have to change the Discrimination Act, because we are the ones being discriminated. Thank you.
And Ron is so right. One of the reasons that the municipalities, that the politicians are throwing away our money, lots of money, on useless things, I'm convinced, is because of eugenics movement. The Fabian organization over in England, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, were very organized. And they spread across the ocean. And Tommy Douglas, the founder of our Medicare system, wrote a thesis in college about eugenics. He believed in justifying your existence. If you cost more than you produce, then you should have to justify your existence. And the Fabians had this saying that if you couldn't justify your existence, they would find a humane way of putting you out of your existence. And they're the ones that came up with the gas chambers that the Nazis used. They agreed with what the Nazis did, rather than race. They thought it should have been a class that was done away with, of people. So why would our founder of Medicare, eugenics, some that believe in eugenics, found a public health system? Because 50 years later, we're at a stage where we give out free needles to druggies to kill themselves with, because they can't justify their existence, but we're finding a humane way of putting them out of their existence. We're even giving them multi-million-dollar in safe injection sites to do it in. How many reports have you ever heard of how many people have died of ODs in these safe injection sites? Or is it they only OD at home? I don't know. But diabetics, unlike heroin addicts, diabetics usually can justify their existence, are usually productive members of society. But there's still a drain on the healthcare system. So, if you can produce enough that you can afford your needles, then you're okay. But if you can't, well, you can't justify your existence. This is all linked. This is all part of Agenda 21. It's all part of the eugenics movement. Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was called genetics, and they changed, or it was called eugenics. Now they call it genetics. Just changing word. It's the same people, and the push is really on, and that's why money is wasted on millions of dollars on bathrooms. Bridges, millions of dollars over pieces of water where it should have cost like $10, and they spend a fortune. Our money is being stolen from us because there's a movement, there's a push. It's the progressives that want to control us, and this is what's going on. And that's why it's so necessary to have events like this, where we've got libertarians, we've got landowners, we've got Constitution Foundation, we've got people of all different classes here, but we all believe in our rights and freedoms. We've got to get it out there. Our kids have been dumbed down over generations, and I'm very proud to say that the youngest people here, one of them is my daughter, Catherine. I'm very glad to join us. But our kids are being dumbed down. I think one of the ways we got to get back is we've got to take control, become school trustees, and have a say in our education system, because our public education system is really scary. In fact, Brian was talking on Sun News the other night, and they're talking about down in the States this new type of teaching that they've come out with, Common Core that they've come out with. It's really scary. It's going to dumb our kids down even more than they already are. So short of homeschooling or pulling your kids out of public school, we can look forward to less and less young people standing up for the rights and freedoms. And on that happy note, pass them on to you.
Beth, can I say one thing about
Sure.
the genetics thing?
I'm
I'm just going to mention one thing here, and you've got to understand how people change the language. What you're going to see now increasingly, and I'm already seeing it in newspapers and on the media, is they use the expression assisted suicide instead of euthanasia. The fact of the matter is, if someone helps you kill yourself, it's not suicide. Suicide is self-death. So watch how they change the language. And that's just all I have to say about the euthanasia thing. Beth is right. It's here. We have a rapidly aging population. Our Medicare system is broken. It's bankrupt. What can they do with the elderly? They're going to knock them out.
But they can find $2.3 million a year to waste on forced bilingualism, but they cut how many people, how many positions at the Ottawa General Hospital this year recently? Like
190.
100.
Gone.
We've got more people aging, but they got to cut our healthcare system. And I also heard that come the age of 75, it's going to be up to other people to decide whether or not you can have an operation.
Yep.
Justified, yeah.
Well, you can no longer. Well,
Comment on healthcare.
Okay, you're good.
One quick comment on healthcare. I just found out just after Christmas, my son's girlfriend, she is getting her master's degree in occupational therapy at McMaster's in Hamilton. All the students in the graduating class were called into a meeting, and they were told that this year there are 5 universities in Ontario graduating occupational therapists, but unfortunately there isn't a job for him.